Welcome back to the art room, where this week I am embracing all things autumnal and shadowy as I dive into the world of silhouettes and paper cutouts. Are you ready to spin some dark, dark enchantment? Let's go.
Paper cut silhouettes have a fascinating history that dates back hundreds of years. In fact, it began in ancient China over 1500 years ago, where people would cut out intricate designs from thin paper for decorations. And by the 18th century, paper cutting became very popular in Europe. People would cut paper to create portraits of people's profiles. These are called silhouettes. They were an affordable alternative to painted portraits, which could be expensive. And in those days, instead of taking photos, artists would use scissors to quickly cut the outline of a person's face, showing only their side view. Today, it's still an incredibly popular art. And it's developed from then. Let's look at Lotte Reiniger. It was said that she created magic with scissors. She was a German animator who was truly pioneering in the 20th century, and her work focused on silhouette animation. She made over 40 films throughout her lifetime, in fact. Reiniger invented the first multi-plane camera, which you can see here with its different levels, an invention which Walt Disney himself would later go on to adapt and patent. Her first love was retelling fairy tales through silhouette animation, and she went on to create animations for Cinderella, Thumbelina, Hansel and Gretel, amongst others, and also spent 3 years making the first feature film titled The Adventures of Prince Ahmed. No doubt you'll recognise some of these scenes. Cinderella running from the ball with her wicked sisters, greeting the prince with their special glass shoes, greeting the king at the steps. Well, if you look closer, the details of one of her puppets from the Prince of Ahmed, look at the precise angles and neat hinges. This was indeed painstaking work, but the effect is utterly spellbinding, just like the tales themselves. It requires lots and lots of practice using scissors. And her influence and the influence of other silhouette artists continues through today. If we look at the work of contemporary African American artist Kara Walker, she's known for her paper cutouts and by turning complicated figures into just striking outlines. She uses her art to challenge racial stereotypes. Look at this artwork, for example. It shows a little girl and a chicken, but they may not be friends. Is the girl shouting? Can you see her tongue? What is she wearing and what is she holding? Well, this work is called The Keys to the Coop, and this little girl is actually a slave child, pictured in chase of a chicken, clutching its head in one hand and twirling a key in the other. She's dressed smartly in a frilly frock and high top boots that wouldn't be typical for this period in America's history. No, not for a slave girl. She holds the freedom of this chicken in the palm of her hand, the key to the coop or the chicken house. But who really has the power? Walker's shadowy figures tell stories about racial divides from the past, but her images are also really about racism in the present and the huge social and economic inequalities that persist in dividing not just America, but other countries across the world. Now it's your turn to make your own paper cut silhouette to tell your own story. You need to take a sheet of black paper and glue it on top of a piece of cardboard to begin. Then decide what story you want to tell and choose, I'd say, minimum of 2 characters, using a pencil to draw the outlines of these 2 characters on the paper covered cardboard. And my top tip is to actually draw them in side profile, sideways on, so they're easy to identify. and it helps if you choose figures with very recognisable shapes. Then you want to use the scissors to cut out your figures, but do ask an adult to help you with this if you're finding parts a bit tricky, like you'll see here with the doorway and the windows to the house. After that, you want to use tape to stick each character onto either a lollipop stick or a skewer or a twig you might find outside on the ground. Lots of things could be used for this. And after that, turn on a lamp or go outside into strong sunlight and hold the bottom of the lollipop sticks. Position your characters between the source of the light and a wall. That's really important. They have to come between the light and the wall. That's when their shadows will appear on the wall behind you. And use these shadows to act out your story. You may have made your very first shadow theatre here, and I tell you what, the more people you involve, the better it will become. Have fun doing this, and do let me know how you get on. You can always email pictures of your show to share@londonsouthArtHub.org.